Hey everybody! Wanted to take a few minutes in this video to go over the homework items for week 8. The first thing you're going to see listed under the week 8 homework assignments tab is to read chapter 10. Chapter 10 goes along with the arguing crisis lesson in the week 8 module. So use that chapter as little or as much as you need to. The next item you'll see is, of course, the week 8 journal. Of course, the week 8 journal is a follow-up to the week 7 discussion. If you did not participate in the week 7 discussion, I have provided a link at the bottom of the journal instructions for what we looked at for week 7, which was Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. So if you didn't do week 7 discussion, you can still click on the link, read through the speech, think about all the elements of argument that are being used in it, and then you can come back and watch the video here in the week 8 journal. Once you're ready to do the week 8 journal, it's the same 4 questions that you've been answering in all the journals pretty much all quarter. So I think you guys probably have the hang of that now. Try to have it in by 11:59 on Sunday night. The next item you're going to see is the assignment for the arguing crisis essay. This is very similar to what you did last week with the arguing value and arguing cause essay assignments. So for this one, you're going to read The Pack Rat Among Us on pages 219 to 224. It's a really interesting read. It might not seem at first like it's an argument of crisis, because we tend to think of a crisis as something really big, really huge, that needs immediate attention, and it's like life or death situation. And that's not necessarily the case here, right? But it is still an argument of crisis. So once you've read the essay, you have a few questions to answer. Question 1 is, what is the most important appeal in the argument? Remember, the appeals are appeals to logos, which is logic, appeals to ethos, which is credibility, and appeals to pathos, which is emotion. Which appeal do you think is the most important one that's used in this argument? And then pick a passage, pick a section of the essay that best illustrates that appeal. Question 2 says, Schutz does not develop as an explicit solution to hoarding. She does sort of talk about some personal goals or hopes, but she does not explain a solution or even make a call for a particular type of policy or action to help solve the problem. Why might this particular topic that she's talking about, why might this particular topic at this point in time lack a direct and clear solution? How does that factor into her argument? Question 3. In several passages, Schutz blurs the line between hoarders and the average consumer, the average shopper or buyer. How does this affect the argument? How does it affect her argument that she blurs that line between everyday shoppers and full-on hoarders? And as you read it, how did it affect you as you were thinking about her argument? And question 4, examine Schutz's use of secondary sources. Choose a particular quotation and explain how that source functions in her argument. For example, did she use that source as part of one of her appeals to ethos, pathos, or logos? Did she use that source as part of a concession to point out where the opposition makes a valid point? Did she use that source as part of a counter-argument against the opposition? Or did she use that source as part of her own evidence to support her argument? She uses a few. So choose one and explain how it functions in the argument, right? You're going to do it as a Word document, so you can use the file that I've attached that has all the questions already typed in for you, or you can create your own, either way. But that's what you're doing for this particular assignment, and if you have any questions or run into any problems with it, let me know. The next item that you're going to see listed under the Week 8 Homework Assignments tab is Project Part 4. So what I want you to keep in mind, though, right now, right away, Project Part 4 is being assigned here in Week 8, but it is not due until the end of week 9. You're getting 2 weeks to work on it. You should have already submitted your rough draft for project part 3 and received my feedback on it. Now it's time to use my feedback to revise to submit the final draft. If you have submitted project part 3 but still have not gotten my feedback, that probably means you submitted it a little late and I'm working on it. I'll have it to you as soon as possible. If you have not yet submitted project part 3 at all, you need to do so right away. It takes me a few hours to go through each draft, and so you want to make sure that I have time to go through it thoroughly and give you the best possible feedback and suggestions possible, and that you have time to use those suggestions to revise the paper before you turn in the final draft. There's a bulleted list of reminders there for you in the assignment instructions. Pay close attention to those. Pay close attention to the one that's highlighted in yellow at the end. I mentioned this before, that for the rough drafts in project part 3, I run every draft through a plagiarism software. I probably won't do that this time around unless your final draft is totally different from your rough draft. Okay? But I just want to point that out. But use my feedback on your rough draft. Use the bulleted points here in the instructions as reminders. Do your best. And again, you have 2 weeks to work on it. It's not technically due until the week 9 assignments are due. So not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday. If you get it finished before then, by all means, go ahead and submit it early. But you do have 2 weeks to make your revisions and get the final draft submitted, right? Then, of course, the last item for homework here in week 8 is the week 8 discussion. We're going to be going back and looking at an image again this week. It is a poster, and it's called Girls Say Yes. And when you look at the image, you're going to see 3 girls sitting on a little couch kind of deal, and their surroundings. And you're going to see really bold, really clear, at the top it says Girls Say Yes, and then at the bottom it says To Boys Who Say No. What you might not be able to see, or what you might not realize, is that one of the girls sitting on the couch is Joan Baez. If you don't know who she is, look her up real quick. Just take a few minutes to figure out what she was all about, why she's important. Also, you might not notice the very fine print at the bottom of the poster that says proceeds from the sale of this poster go to the draft resistance. So use all of that to your advantage when you are answering the 7 questions for the discussion. It's the same 7 questions you've been answering every week. Alright? So if you have any questions, if you run into any technical difficulties with the discussion or with any of the homework this week, let me know. And don't forget, you actually have 2 weeks to work on project part 4. Alright? You guys are free to go ahead and get started.